Hey guys, we just wanted to do a quick introductory video to show you who we are and the project we're working on. So, I'm Jessica.
Sean.
And then down here we have Anjo. Say hi. Oh, thank you. And this is our tiny house project. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of our background and basically how and why we started this tiny house build. So I'll just have some footage scrolling here for you as I'm explaining the details. Several years ago, I'd say probably 8 to 10 years, Sean and I started a small business making tattoo electronics. We were very overwhelmed, very busy all the time. It was just becoming not fun anymore. So my parents had been talking about moving to Myrtle Beach for their retirement. They were going to buy a house down there. They needed some help getting their old house together, getting everything packed up, getting things painted, patched up for the sale. So Sean and I moved in with them for about 6 months before they ended up moving down to Myrtle Beach to help them with all of those details, get everything in order so that they could get the maximum resale value for their house and get down here safely. Dad was disabled at the time. This was before his amputation. He's since actually had his leg amputated below the knee, so he's kind of been having constant health problems the last few years. So we moved in about 6 months before they moved down to Myrtle Beach to help them get everything together. We all traveled down together with a giant U-Haul truck. We lived with them for about a year, getting Dad settled and everything, saving up some cash to get our own place. And when it came down to look for a place in Myrtle Beach, we really weren't finding anything cheaper than $1,200 to $1,400 a month to have what we wanted in a house. We wanted at least 2 bedrooms, something newer, not really beat up or run down or anything. And we also needed a garage to work out of. So we were really not finding anything in our price range. We actually came across a Craigslist ad for a property for lease. It was $275 a month. Water, sewage, and electric were all included. It was in North Carolina, about an hour and a half away from my parents' house in Myrtle Beach, so it wasn't too far. We had briefly discussed building a tiny house in the past. It was mostly my idea. Sean wasn't too into it because we were so busy with our business at the time. It just didn't seem feasible. But we actually recently decided, within the last year, to put that on the back burner. We stopped making tattoo electronics and started focusing all of our energy into our private tattoo studio. It was just getting way too overwhelming. We were overworked, overstressed all the time. It was just easier to get Sean back into tattooing, which is what he loves. It's the reason we started the business in the first place. So after our workload was much less with the tattoo shop, we didn't have as much stress. It really started to seem like a more feasible option to go ahead with a tiny house build. We made some phone calls, did some research after finding this little property here. Just conveniently, coincidentally, we weren't looking for a property. We were looking for a house, and this property for rent with sewage, water, electric just popped up, and it kind of got the idea in my head again, and I somehow was able to convince Sean to go along with it. Did a bunch of research beforehand to find out exactly what the process would be like. We worked out all the logistics, came up with a very accomplishable plan, and we just decided to go for it. Now, at the time we made that decision, Sean was working full-time in our private tattoo studio, tattooing clients every day. I was working at a vape store in Surfside, just 10 minutes from my parents' house, Monday through Friday, so I had the weekends off. We figured we would only need to spend about $100 to $200 a week on supplies to accomplish one solid weekend of work. So our first weekend was actually my birthday weekend, the first weekend of November. We were coming down every Friday night, basically, leaving Sunday night to get back to Myrtle Beach so I could go to work. if Sean had a slow week tattooing, he would actually volunteer to stay and keep working. So there were a few weekends where I would just leave him for a couple more days and then come pick him up when he had to come back to tattoo. We were really having fun with the project. It didn't really feel like work. It wasn't a chore. So we came as often as we could, really. We really liked being here. It wasn't weird camping 24/7 as much as my family made it seem. We would stay the night at my parents' and work, then drive out to the property whenever we had off. So this was from November to March, actually, that went on. We were just coming down on the weekends. Then in March, the virus hit. So Sean was no longer able to tattoo. My vape store had closed. So we were both on unemployment at the time. We were supposed to be self-isolating. So we just stayed on the property 24/7, getting as much work as we could done with no income. It did take a few months for our unemployment to come through, but when it finally did, we were really able to knock out a good amount of work here on the property. So we've just been 24/7 in the woods, camping, building the tiny house since mid-March. It's now September 1st, so it's been a while now. It's been definitely an adventure. It's a little weird that we do live in tents, essentially. We do actually have a finished room at this point with AC, so we ended up finishing a room early before we finished our exterior walls and the roof. We just kind of finished the roof and walls on 1/3 of the house, so that way we could enclose that and utilize the AC in June when it really started picking up with the heat. So fortunately, we were able to work that out so we'd have AC all summer and still be able to work on our projects. We will do a video of the entire timeline of the build to show you exactly how long everything took and the exact order we did everything, including our expenses for the project. So make sure you subscribe so you get notified whenever we post new videos. We look forward to sharing all the details of our project with you and everything else we have going on the property. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. We're happy to answer. It's what it's all about, learning from each other and sharing our experiences. So here is a glimpse of the property we found on Craigslist. It was $275 a month, includes electric, water, and sewage already. Just has a little separator fence there to keep people from driving back on the drain field out there. There you can really see the size of the yard. Bunch of grapevines growing wildly over there on the side. Blueberry trees everywhere. Front area where I have my gardens here. Parking area. You can use the car and Sean for size comparison of everything. Bunch of brush to clear out, and then all around us you can see that there's just miles and miles of woods. Plenty of space to run around on our dirt bikes, four-wheelers, whatever we wanted to bring out here. Tons and tons of trees as far as you can see, just dirt roads in every direction. Go-kart would be awesome out here, just ripping through all these dirt roads, low to the ground. Super peaceful, quiet. That's why we decided to come out here. No neighbors. We have one direct neighbor behind us. That's the landlord's mom. He actually built her a tiny house out here. She's just 100 yards behind us. So you can see there's just a bunch of different dirt roads all around in every direction. Got the train tracks right down the street. Tons of wide open space, farmland. We do have a small community of neighbors here on the dirt roads, but only a handful of people. Here, it's probably what made us decide to rent this place for sure, that and the river access. Tons of fun dirt bike area to run around in. almost ramps already created for us right up against the woods. Here we've got the river access. Trails alongside, going back into the woods. Nice bank here for fishing. You can launch your kayaks or jet skis. Tree to walk out on. Be nice to put the hammock there for the day. So yeah, that's a tour of the property. That's the reason we ended up getting this lot and why we decided to build a tiny house instead of pay $1,200 a month for a house with a ton of neighbors in a populated area where traffic would have been hell. This gives us an opportunity to own our home within 1 year, mortgage-free, and we can go wherever we want in the United States. We actually contacted several shipping companies before starting this project and figured out exactly what size building we could go with and still fit on a truck. And their response was 12 by 32. That's what we went with for our overall structure. We do have the deck on top and the skylight. That's going to put us over, but those are going to be built in a removable fashion. And we do have our roof overhang here to either side, but they did say there was some allowance, some wiggle room allowed. So that should be fine. But you do really want to take the time to call a local shipping company, not just any shipping company, because we found out there's actually only one in our area that will move a building this size. So we had to stick with their largest dimension that they're able to move specifically. But you want to check for sure because that can vary company to company and county to county as well. There's different rules for the roads and things you want to check into, so just really be sure that you're going to be able to move the structure you're planning to build before you get into the process. I'm going to have Sean go into a little more detail about exactly how this building is moved, the equipment that's involved, the reason the skids need to be cut the way they are, the purpose for that hole you see. Also, the benefit of building a skid shed assembly like we have versus a shipping container structure or modifying a camper or all of the different options you have in tiny homes. So we'll explain more about why we chose the exact construction that we did and how this actually gets shipped to our property when we're able to buy one.